In the summer of 2003, speaking of summer, I wish it was summer right now. It's like the coldest day of the year. And remember that time we did the last video in the cemetery in a t-shirt below zero? Man, anyway, in the summer of 2003, a small group of people began meeting with the idea of starting a church. And of course, I was still a bit bleeding and hurting from a previous church experience, and looking back, I probably should have had more of a strategic plan in place, and maybe should have healed up a little bit more in more time. But at any rate, we did. We started a church, and this is one of the places where we met, here at the Liberty Ballpark, a couple times to just talk and to pray and to dream. And we met in some homes, and from day one, the vision has always been two things. Not really a newsflash to most people, but the two things are Jesus and people. And that sounds like an oxymoron. It just doesn't sound like, well, every church is about that. Well, no, not every church is about the name of Jesus and about people. We've got great churches who are very informative, and good churches who have educational things, and churches that are all about social things, and churches, are about a lot of things. But this church was started for the name of Jesus. And this church, one of my greatest fears was that it would never become a group of modern day Pharisees that are just meeting in their little holy huddle, in their spiritual sauna, just all comfortable, us four and no more mentality, and it's all about me and my needs and my wants and me, myself, and I, and my desires, and that is not why Jesus left a perfect heaven to come to this very sin-filled, ugly world. That's not why He did that. We are doing church not about my needs, not about what I want. It's about Jesus. And so my heart originally was for something different, something not traditional, something radical, something really cutting edge, something really for the unchurched, something for people who may not have had any God experience at all, something that maybe they have had a church experience, but they have really been hurt, they've been burned, they haven't been to church in a long time. And unfortunately, as I look around, and as I did look around, too many churches, people were coming into their doors and they were leaving with a very bad taste about God, about church in their mouths. And that is not why Jesus came. And unfortunately, as I looked around, there were already way too many of those churches. And I just did not want to be part of starting a church like that. And Liberty, certainly in this area, did not need another church like that. And too many churches have just not kept Jesus first and people first. And that's why some have died and some have shut their doors more and more and more. And this was one of those churches. And so we said, hey, any way of us buying this building, any way of us getting into this building, and of course people thought we were crazy. I mean, they thought we were just out of this world, because this church has been here for over 100 years, and it's been an established church, and now they've shut their doors. And so what makes you think that you can succeed? I mean, well, the very reason is simple. Because God has put a vision in my heart, and to carry out God's promises in Liberty and beyond. And in Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, Jesus said that He would build His church, and the gates of Hades would not overcome it, would not overpower it. I mean, Jesus was making a promise and telling us that He would build His church. He will do whatever it takes, and nothing will be able to overtake it, if we're willing to surrender. If we're willing to keep His agenda first, if we're willing to major on the majors and minor on the minor, if we're willing to just come alongside of what He wants to do, we will see Him build His church. We will see people transformed, lives transformed. We knew that what was at stake was the name of Jesus, that we wanted to make the name of Jesus famous one life at a time. If we did not make the name of Jesus famous, one life at a time, we would fail. We would go down. There would be no success. It would just be manufactured human religion, a club of whatever. And so we set out, and that's what we did. We moved into this building. They wanted approximately $15,000, which we didn't have. And so we got a credit card. We put it on a person's credit card with 0 interest for 1 year. We put that $15,000 on there. And the people gave sacrificially. They gave generously. I mean, we had to really step up. We had to be committed. We had to really, really be sold on this dream that God's given me and the promise of what Jesus said. And so what happened was Jesus began to change lives, one life at a time. And before we knew it, in a couple years' time, the place was full. It went from 15 people to, this church was full of 15 people, and they shut their doors, they were died. And here we are in just a couple years, the place is full. And because Jesus was changing lives. And I just knew, it was pretty obvious in my spirit that this was only a temporary place. I mean, we were full. It's a 1/4 acre lot. Literally, legally, we only had room for three parking spots, and that was just the way it was. In my spirit, I knew it was only temporary. So I had called the owners of this building here, and I said to the CEO of Ward Manufacturing, would you ever be interested in selling this building? We have no money, we have no strategic plan, but I'm just curious, would you be willing to sell it? He said, well, I might be interested. And so, he said, stop by, we'll talk about it. And so we did that. We sat down, we talked, and he said, yes, I will sell it to you for $125,000. And that included 7 acres approximately of property. And so I really couldn't believe it, that he would sell it to us for that. It was a phenomenal deal. Come to find out, when we got it assessed, it was assessed at almost twice that price. It was really the only commercial property in Liberty. It was great. It was really, really a God thing. And so they could have sold it for a lot more. And so, I went to the people and told them, here's the deal. We could buy it for $125,000. Do you want it? If you want it, you really have to want it. You're really going to have to give sacrificially. You're going to have to give generously. You're going to have to really be in this thing. And so I said, you're going to actually have to pledge a certain amount above and beyond your normal monthly giving if you want to get this and if you want to buy this. And after we did all this and after it's said and done, it really is amazing to see how God was in this, because after we got it, the CEO told me that there was a ton of people who actually came to him before and offered to buy it. Many people wanted to buy it. People in the fire company, just different people, business owners wanted to buy it for a business thing. And so, we kind of made a few enemies there along the way, but I just said, hey, these guys that came to me and approached me, I said, hey, this is a God thing. This is a God thing. We didn't pursue this. We just asked if he was willing to sell it, and he said yes. And so that was a good thing. We didn't know what was in store, and still don't. And I said that you're going to really have to want this. And so you're going to have to pledge how much you're willing to give extra each month above and beyond your normal giving. And that will be for the mortgage. And so the people did that. They wrote down their monthly pledge, and we collected them, and it was enough to buy the building and have a mortgage. And so we borrowed an extra $75,000 to put into this empty metal building. And so that brings us to $200,000 in debt. And we started the very long year of getting this ready to be moved into. And for a whole year, every Wednesday and every Saturday, we worked tirelessly. And 90% of all the work that was done in this place was all volunteer from us. And really, to be honest, it just about put us under. The strain on the body was incredible because we had to lay aside everything we were doing ministry-wise and program-wise and people-wise that built the church that Jesus was using to transform lives. Really, we had to lay all that aside to work and to focus on a building. And it put a lot of strain on us.